Hi everyone, I'm Olga Cherkasova and I am IBA Belarus chapter president, and I'm so excited that we have this international communication today. We have Stefan Bosseuwe who will present us his amazing topic, the holistic BA. This is a great approach that helps everyone every who works as a business analyst or who does the job of a business analyst with a different title, because a holistic view can help us not to skip what is really important and focus on all the things, not to forget about something. Because when we work as a business analyst, we're sometimes very focused on something very particular, like specific feature or specific functional requirements, and sometimes we lost all that happening behind this. And I like this topic, and I believe that having the holistic view can help us to improve a lot. So I'm pleased that Stefan helped us to learn more about this amazing topic, and I'm very happy that Stefan joined us today. Thank you so much for your time. I know that you are very, very busy, and this is a privilege for our Belarus chapter to have you here. Thank you, and I'm making you co-host and passing the word to you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We expected a little bit more people, but that's what happens. That's one of the reasons that we are recording that, because then it will be also appearing on the YouTube channel of the Belarus chapter afterwards for people who want to review. So people that are there and says like, I missed something, you can watch it again afterwards. Another thing is when I'm presenting, I won't be seeing the chat. So if you have an urgent question, put in the chat, and then Olga will then interrupt me if necessary. Okay. Okay. I'm going to start to present.
Should we start the questionnaires that we have, or
No,
should
not yet. No. I will tell you when the questionnaires
Okay.
will start. Yeah.
Okay, good.
It will be interactive. So.
All right.
There we go. And then, so I guess everyone can see my screen.
Yeah.
And I will go into presentation modus. There we go. So, okay, there we go. So, holistic business analysis. This is what we're going to talk about, some introduction. If you talk about something, you need to define it, have some concepts, how to apply in practice, which is also important. But with the concepts, I will go with examples. It won't be boring and dull. I hope so. And then after we conclude, you can have some Q&A. We can do interactive because with a small group. So if you have something very urgent to ask, do. If you think it's not urgent, write it down, and then we can come back to it afterwards. Well, this is me. I'm already for more than 30 years professional busy, not always as a BA, but I have worked in more than 20 different industries. Passionate about business analysis and content provider IBA's Knowledge Hub, and spend much of my time on promoting the BA mindset, which I'm doing today. This session, this is what was in the text. I'm not going to repeat it, and you get a number of slides afterwards. I'll put it in the chat, and probably will post it afterwards also through the YouTube channel. This is maybe more interesting. So this session is intended for almost anyone. I even gave it to project managers, and they understood it, so I'm sure you will understand it. Okay, definition and concepts. Remember, the International Institute IBA, until 2022, the core purpose was to unite a community of professions to create better business outcomes. That was, and it disappeared. It's nowhere on the website. Sad, because I like that approach. I like that phrase, that core purpose. And it made me think maybe we should consider the core purpose of business analysis is to facilitate and or co-create better business outcomes. So we do have a lot of fancy definitions also in BAPOC, which I'll show, but I'm not going to go in depth with that. Maybe we should look at what the outcome is, the purpose of business analysis. I like this one. So you'll get that afterwards in slides if you want. Okay. Another thing I want to express, we have before we continue. So if you want to talk about business analysis, you can't ignore the BABOK. And the BABOK is the reference on business analysis, although it's already from 2015, which is getting close to 9 years. So desperately waiting for a new version. But it's the only one, which is the only reference which is globally recognized. You do have something on the PBCS, you get IRC and so on, but this is the only one that is globally recognized. And it's essential, and it reflects collective knowledge of global BA community, because a lot of people all around the world have contributed to that. And it's also consensus-based because you have this review phase where everyone in the world can contribute to it and review it. And then you also have the BA standard, which was released in November, well, a year and a few months ago. And it's something similar. It's smaller, it's more compact, but IBA wants to have the BA standard grow, evolve, and create the BABOK version 4 out of it. That's the idea, that's the concept. It's also co-created and reviewed, exactly like the BABOK. So a lot of number of people participated in it, and then it has a review session. And I'm mentioning those two because a number of aspects that I'm going to present today come only from the BA standard and not in the BABOK version 3. Definition of business analysis, you can see it's from both. So if you see here in the upper right corner, you see the logos of the BABOK or the BA standard. It says where it comes from. I'm going to skip fast through to it. So you get these words in colors: change, needs, solutions, delivering value. The only thing I want to say with that expression, and also in the second phrase, we or solutions cannot deliver value. We and or the solutions can only deliver a value potential, a value proposition. If business decides not to use your solution, no business value is created. So that's very important, which I disagree with the definition in BABOK. Solutions don't deliver value. Only it's in a co-creation modus. And it can happen on strategic, tactical, operational level, although most of us are more experienced in the operational level. If you do IT solutions and so on, it's on the operational level. And it can be within a project or outside a project. That's I know people doing business analysis, for example, continuous business process improvement with no IT. And once in a while, they say, like, we should do something on technology with it. But that's a spin-off. So their work is without outside projects. So if we know now a bit what business analysis is, like my core purpose of business analysis or the definition of BABOK, what is holism? Holism, it comes from Greek. It was already mentioned in the LinkedIn post. It comes from the word holos, which means all, whole, entire. And it's the concept that systems, whatever kind of systems, should be viewed as wholes and both as a collection of its parts. So it's both. It's the whole and the collection of its parts. It's like if you look at your car, you don't say, hey, look at there, my engine with a steering wheel, with fuel tank, with batteries, with whatever. No, you look at it as a car, but at the same time, you are very well aware there's a steering wheel, seats, an engine, a fuel tank or batteries, because if you don't fill it up, it won't drive for very long, or charge it. So you know it's a car, it brings you from A to B, and you know it has very important parts, you know both. So we do use the holistic mindset a lot in our day-to-day lives. But sadly, many don't use it in their profession as a BA. So as a BA, you should look at an organization as a whole, and not only as a collection of employees, business domains, blah, 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 both. It's like, in fact, it's like the impact analysis mindset, I call it. So if you do something here with business analysis, what's the impact on the whole organization? Or what's the impact on other parts of the organization? Both are important. The first moment in the BABOK, I don't know about the BA standard, but in the BABOK, that holism is mentioned, it's with a BACCM. It's a model that I love. I always use it if I'm working in big projects. So the BACCM. And it's a conceptual framework. You recognize a number of the words, 5 of the words that you've seen in the definition of the BABOK on business analysis. All of them are very fundamental to BA. And in fact, the BACCM is a definition of business analysis. Also, each of those core concepts is defined by the other 5. So if you understand, for example, very well a solution, but without knowing the other 5, you don't know enough. You need to know all, not all in depth, but you need to know enough about all the concepts to know, to understand the environment. It's a holistic approach. And they're all equal important and significant. So stakeholders don't like that when I say this, but it's true. It's like all of them are equally important. And it's also something you can apply from strategic to tactical implementation. Now, we have the first poll, and I'm going to ask you a question. And you can click on more than one. So Olga is going to put on a poll. And is what of the following 6 concepts do you have experience with? So change, stakeholder, needs, value, solution, context. So don't be shy because no one is entering. Okay. Okay, one person has already entered. Oh, someone, that's good. It's moving, it's moving. I think we have some delay in Zoom. Olga, I think so. Because suddenly at 6:07 or 8 in your time, everyone arrived in 1 minute time. So, okay, we've got 3 people that replied. Good. So let's have a look. Will we end it, Olga?
I have all the questions working at the same time, so probably people want to answer others' questions also. Let's wait.
No. That will appear later. That will appear later. So the other polls will arrive later. It's on the course of. So, okay, let's see. And okay, so well, 4 out of 5 and needs a lot of people have experience with. Well, luckily, so this is good. This is good. This is good. I'll share the I'll share the results. And so a lot of people have experience. That's fine. That's fine. I'll stop sharing the results. Okay, let's go continue. I'm going to give an example because it's maybe theoretical. I'm going to give an example of which I'm going to take 4 of the 6 dimensions. And it will be the UK economy. So in an economy of a country, what are the important stakeholders? The consumers, of course, the merchants, manufacturers, and a government. And what kind of needs do they have? Access to goods, price, quality, good income. Same goes for the merchants, manufacturers, but they also have parts and raw materials. And the UK government also wants to have got lots of money, but they also want to have good trade deals, good control over those trade deals, control over legislation. And as implicit, they have to respect international agreements like the Good Friday Agreement, the border, the Irish border, for those who know or don't know. So when they were inside the EU, things were going well, very well, except UK government had a shared control over trade deals and legislation. They had to agree with 26 or 27 other countries. But for the rest, it was going well. During the transition periods, because it was going still very well for the people and the business, and even for the economy. But the control of the trade deals, UK couldn't decide anymore on trade deals. They had to apply the trade deals that were decided for them. just like Norway or some other countries that are in the economical area, but are not on the table. And the control legislation, the transition period was a bit vague. It was not very clear. So I've got this guy, and the Irish border was fine. And then we had the Brexit, and things were not going very well. They had now control over those trade deals. But if you represent a market of 500 million people, like the EU has, or you represent a market of 10 times smaller, like 50, 60 million, like the UK, you don't have much leverage. So they had more control on the trade deals, but the other side's like, you got only 50 million people. Why would I give you things that you want? So they had less negotiation power. Everyone predicted that, but well, whatever. And then, yeah, the Irish border has been solved only a few years after. Solved, it's still not going very well. But there's something on table that works, but it's probably not going to work for a very long time. But anyway, in 2018, I made this together in London with English BAs. And so this is what they made. And this is what actually happens. And they call it the soft Brexit and the hard Brexit, no agreements. So we assumed that the soft Brexit would have been this. And the hard Brexit, yeah, well, in fact, to be honest, we were not very far from what we predicted together with the BAs from the UK. Anyway, we have to proceed. Okay. So requirements. We have a requirements classification in the BA standard. We had one in the BABOK, but the BA standard added one more category. So I'm going to first say, what is requirement? It's a usable representation of a need. In fact, you got needs at business, whatever, and you translate them into tangible things that are measurable, timed, or whatever. Smart, not always 100% smart, but smart statements, and which you can use. And it has to do with what value could be delivered when fulfilled. This is what requirements stand for, which is mentioned in the BABOK and the BA standard. I tend to agree with this kind of definition. Now we have the next poll. Okay. We have the next poll. So in the BA standard, it describes 5 different requirement categories. Which of those 4 that I mentioned here is not in that list? So again, there are 5 categories, requirement categories in the BA standard. Which one of those 4 here is not in that list of 5? So is business requirements a real category of the BA standard, or stakeholder requirements, or user requirements, or transitional? Which one you don't believe is mentioned in the BA standard? Should. Okay. Nothing? Come on. Yeah, okay, 1 person replied. Come on. I'm still waiting.
Some delay because I have 5 answers.
You have 5 answers? Okay. Then you can you can also click on end the poll, I guess. You also have that. I still have only 1 person.
Yeah, and we go to the second question.
No, not the following question. I want to see the results of the BACCM. Okay,
I'm sharing.
Yeah. I can't see them. I only have 1 here.
Because you're sharing the screen and
Okay. So read me.
Okay, we have business requirements 20%, stakeholder requirements 40%, user requirements 20%, and transition requirements 20%. So 20, just stakeholder requirements got 40%.
So 40% doesn't believe stakeholder requirements is part of the BA book or the BA standard. Okay, okay. Then let's see what it will be, okay? Business requirements, it's in there, okay? Did you share the results?
No, I stopped.
Okay, I can still share it. So business requirements. Okay, I have to. It's explaining why you want to change. Can apply to the whole of an enterprise, a business area, or a specific initiative. So a business area, for example, finance or HR, or a specific initiative like back in the days, GDPR, for example. It tells you why. If we go to an example, and it's a real world example, it's about a leading food retailer who wanted to create new business by aiming at people with food constraints. Could be medical, like an allergy, also religious, like kosher or whatever, halal, or it could be a personal conviction, vegetarian, vegan. So I want to create, as a leading food retailer, new business. So why are we doing? We want to create new business. That's the reason why we want to do things. Stakeholder requirements, yeah, sorry for those 40%. Luckily for the business requirements, it was only 20%. It's the translation of those business requirements to the different stakeholders. And those can sometimes conflict, whereas the business requirements should not conflict, because you get only a few of them, 2, 3, 4. But stakeholder requirements can conflict, and then it's up to you, business analysts, to find compromises. The keyword here is what. If you go to the same example, and this is an example for me because I have a few food intolerances. I want to find effortlessly recipes that take them into account so that I can enjoy the preparation of a meal instead of focusing on my restrictions. So each time if I go to the grocery store, supermarket, I have to look at the ingredients and it's like, oh no, too much of that. Shouldn't do that. So this is a what. What I want to be able to cook without thinking too much on my restrictions. Solution requirements. This is what most of us know, the functional requirements, non-functional requirements, or user stories, whatever. This is what most of us know very well. And if people talk, you have to write requirements most of the time. If they don't specify which ones, it's these. If you go in the same, and it's how. So how do we assure that the stakeholders get what they need? And the business, because business requirements. How? So create a website where you can create a food profile, predefine a food profile. For example, I'm dairy products, milk, but if I eat peanuts, I might die. So even give a weight, like this is to avoid, and this is not too much dairy products. And then easily find recipes that meet the food profile, map the recipes with our products. Don't forget the why. We wanted to create new business, so those recipes, we want to sell stuff. And the recipes is only a means to an end. Make a shopping list, and the shopping list was going, or you could order on the internet to the organization, or you could go with your smartphone into the store, supermarket. You say, I'm in this supermarket, and you can find all the ingredients in the shelf. Now go to the right, and you find milk there or eggs there. It was really cool. And the website should be secure and responsive. Yeah, that's non-functional. Interrupt me if you got questions, because I'm going straight forward. I'm going like a train. I don't stop if you don't stop me. Transition requirements, it's temporary. Contrary to the other requirement categories, it's temporary. It helps you to go from as is to the to be. And it has topics like data conversion, training, business continuity. Training is an interesting one, because training is a transition requirement if it takes you from A to B, from the as is to B. For example, you were working on Microsoft Dynamics, and you go now to Salesforce. So if you have a training as like, remember when we were in Dynamics, we did scenario A this way, now we do it that way in Salesforce. This is a training that takes you from as is to the to be. But on the contrary, if, for example, new people arrive when Salesforce is already implemented and Dynamics is already out of the system, and you give a training for them, they don't need to know how it was. They only need to know scenario A, we do it that way. So that training is a solution requirement. So a training, depending on the context, can be a transition or a solution requirement. Context always rules. And of course, the keyword is change. For example, a marketing campaign. And then you can always see in the upper right corner, up till now, or all those requirement categories, you saw the BA standard and the BABOK. But in the next one, this has been introduced in November 22, the BA standard, the sustainability requirements. In fact, the sustainability requirements are the translation of a sustainability strategy of an organization into measurable statements, into requirements. And keywords are inclusion and well-being. So well-being, not only for us, for all people and all animals. It's well-being of the whole planet, and inclusion, don't leave anyone behind. So it has a planetary aspect, climate, pollution, and so on, but also a social ethical, don't leave anyone behind, gender equality, and so on and so on. Sustainability, development goals of the United Nations is an example. In this exact example that we're talking about, so this leading food retailer wants to contribute to a sustainable future. And so it wants to minimize as much as possible their ecological footprint, the whole organization, but also the products they're selling, and make sure the products are created and distributed in social and ethical conditions. So it's the planetary aspect and the social ethical aspect. Yeah. And how does that? So, as I said, you only have a few business requirements, and from those business requirements, you can derive stakeholder requirements. It's like the needs of the stakeholders with the business requirements at the end of the tunnel. Those are holy. The business requirements are holy. But stakeholders, they have different needs with regards to the business requirements. And sometimes a business requirement can have more stakeholder requirement, or stakeholder requirement can be linked to more than one business requirement. All the stakeholder requirements are always linked to at least one business requirements. Otherwise, you have a problem. And then there are the solution requirements, which is also N to M, M to N, or whatever you call it. You can have solution requirements linked to more than one stakeholder requirements, and stakeholder requirements, of course, has more than one solution requirements. And there we have the transition requirements. They can apply at stakeholder level, and it can apply to solution level. And then we have the sustainability requirements. They can apply to the whole level. I'm going to give you an example. So it can also apply to transition requirements. But I'm going to give you an example. So remember this one, sustainability requirements, copy and paste, just mentioned it in one of the previous slides. So a business requirements that you can link to that, you could create a new business requirement next to the other ones that we had. As a leading food retailer wanting to contribute to a sustainable future, we want to inspire our customers to purchase more sustainable products. So this food retailer, an existing one, it has the lowest price, unique selling point. But nowadays, they also want to have a more sustainable future. So this is real world example, more sustainable future. So they say like, but sustainable products are currently not the cheapest, but still we want to inspire people to purchase more sustainable products. Okay, if you look at stakeholder requirements, if I'm a conscious consumer, I want to purchase products with a minimal ecological footprint and also within good and social and ethical conditions for the people involved in the chain, the logistic chain, but also in the production. A stakeholder requirement like that could result in, for example, a solution requirement, design a sustainability score, environmental, ecological, of our products in collaboration with partners, supply chain, and show alternative products with a lower sustainability score. So, for example, you have your ingredients and you want to map them to products. It can sell like rank it through price or rank it through sustainability score, for example. You can have, for example, if you have sugar, they sell different brands of sugar. And traditionally in the past, they would rank them from cheap to more expensive. But you can say like, click, I want to have the most sustainable ones with the lowest sustainability score or the best sustainability score. And the fun part is, I made this example more than a year ago. And a few weeks later, they came out with an eco score. So they were already thinking about that. Good. Implicit, you also have these relationships, of course. So this is what you can find in the BABOK, but a nicer drawing, but I can't copy it because I don't have the copyright. Before you start at a change initiative, why are you, if you don't know why, get away from the project or insist like, please tell me why we're going to do a big change. If they can't express why they're doing that, run away, please run away. You'll get into a big trouble, because if you don't know why you're doing something, not a good sign. The what, stakeholder requirements, first why, and then what the stakeholders need with regards to the business requirements, how you're going to make sure the stakeholders get what they need, and the company, because it's to meet as well the business requirements as stakeholder requirements, and the transition requirements go to this change. Once you have released a new solution, you're going to measure again. You might say, it's not working well. Again, business requirements, and it's a cycle. It's a never-ending cycle. But we do have now also sustainability requirements, and they put some constraints on the other requirement categories. That's how it works. Now, so which one was not in that list? User requirements. If that word exists, it would be a type of solution requirements, but the user is always with regards to a solution. It would be a specific type of, but it doesn't. Maybe a user story could be related, but you have seen in my example, stakeholder story in the form, a stakeholder requirement in the format of a user story, but I call them stakeholder story because it was not with regards to a solution. It was someone who had some food constraints. So how to apply in practice? So many of you might know the customer journey or customer experience initiative. The customer journey initiative is quite boring, but it's when it comes to a customer experience, it gets more exciting. So customer journey, if I'm selling books, who is the most important stakeholder outside my organization? It's of course the customer. And what does a customer want with when looking at a bookstore? What's the first thing he or she wants to do or see or whatever? Anyone? No? I can't see the chat. So Olga, no one replying? No one replying? Okay, what's the first thing a customer wants to do when I'm selling books? Okay, if I'm not going to wait for a long time. Wants to see which books I'm selling, of course. And when he says like, these books I want to buy with a credit card, fine, here are your books. Okay. This is a customer journey. In fact, the customer journey is describing the touch points of an external stakeholder, of the customer, with the organization, which on its own is maybe not that great or exciting, but it's the experience. How can we improve the experience so that the customer will stay with us or will return? So that's the thing. That's very important. But for customer experience, you have to know the customer journey. So, but what happens when we zoom out? We have this customer still wants to browse books, like, oh, I don't have books yet. Not in the shelves or not in my catalog. I don't have books yet. I have to get books because I want to sell books. Then at that moment, you have to think of yourself, I'm going to make my own books, or am I going to get the books from elsewhere? Well, you just started your organization. Maybe you shouldn't start doing everything at the same time. Let's consider that we get our books from someone else. And we can order them, and we deliver them. So now this customer can see books or really on the shelf or in a catalog. And he says like, okay, this is fine. I want those 2 books. And here's my credit card, 80 euros. I look at that credit card. It's a platinum. It's an American Express. Okay. But I don't know if this 80 euros can come from the card. I need someone to tell me that it's safe, that this transaction is okay. So I need a credit card issuer, and I have to ask, 80 euros, this card? Fine, happy flow, it's fine. Okay. Then I can tell the customer, it's fine. And here are your books. Now, so we have gone through this customer journey, and we found out that we need other people. One by choice, the book publisher, because I could create my own books, but maybe not that good for selling. And the credit card issuer, you don't want to do that yourself. It's very complicated, and you want to search a partner for that. But this book publisher sends me regularly emails with new book titles coming up soon. And one of our companies says like, maybe we should inform our customers with that information and do a monthly mailing. With that monthly mailing, we can send the new book titles from fiction to people who have already purchased fiction or showed their interest, non-fiction or scientific or whatever. So a monthly mailing. So we saw that to satisfy the customer journey, we needed external parties, but one of them sent me information that I could use to optimize that customer experience. Interesting. So it's a good starting point, but of course it doesn't stop there. And this is called a business context model. Business context model decides on the business scope because we decided ourselves not to do book publishing. But we found out that we had to find a partner, a credit card issuer, telling us that purchases with a credit card or a debit card is okay. And make sure that that money comes on my account. So this is telling the business scope. If we translate this into a matrix, you can see that there are business events. Business events are things that are happening outside the circle with impact inside, or things that happen inside the circle with impact outside. Those are business events. And when it happens inside the circle, most of the time is timed events, like the monthly mailing, or a button someone can click and something happens. If we translate that into a matrix, then you can see that sometimes a business event can have a number of flows. Like if I want to make a purchase, it's like the purchase request, authorization request, credit authorization, and purchase confirmation. And business services is how you respond to those business events. So if the announcement of new book titles coming from the book publisher don't interest me, I don't create a business service to do something with it. But then I can't do monthly mailing because I don't have any contents in there. Okay, now if we go and deep dive into one of those business services. Now a business service, most of them, there's a process behind it. But for example, to have a book catalog, okay, there's a little process to get that book catalog filled up, but the book catalog itself, it doesn't have a process. It's technical stuff. But most of them do have processes, and we're going to deep dive into this business service and what kind of processes is behind it. So those are the things that we have to do to be able to get that book or books to the customers. It doesn't say how, if you want to do it on paper or with computers or whatever, or the robots. It only says what needs to be done. But we are in a world where we'd like to automate or semi-automate stuff. Let's draw rectangles around the areas that we would like to automate or semi-automate. So pick up books and put books in shipping package, you need robots for that. If you just start, you probably don't have the money for that. Deliver package to customers, no, No drones like Amazon. Nah, we're not going to automate it ourselves. But the rest, we could do something around it. So this is scoping. So we're not talking about a solution, but we're already scoping the solution here. These are the parts of the process we would like to automate or semi-automate. That is the solution scope. Now, if a process is a bit more complicated than describing in a scenario, this is a scenario, you still can draw circles of the parts you would like to automate. And those are still scoping the solution. Exactly the same. I see something in the chat. Olga, is it important? Okay. And if you take an area of things that you would like to automate, you can draw requirements. I'm not going to mention that here, but I'm going to mention it in an example. Right? Okay. So if we make the overview, we did this business context together with the business events and business service. Normally as an exercise, you do almost them together, but if not necessary, you can start with a drawing and then deduct the, people tend to arrive very late. Huh? Maybe they thought it was 1 hour later and they're now arriving. Okay, good. From those business services, we found out business processes where we did some scoping and on which we would going to design requirements. But this is what I've shown in the previous 4 or 5 slides. But remember that we had some categories. So from the business processes where you don't mention solutions, you could already derive stakeholder requirements on which you would do solution requirements. So if you would do this exercise and you would change a solution, IT solution, you can keep the rest and the solution requirements will only be updated. So I really recommend you to do the stakeholder requirements, and I'm going to show you an example. Remember this process? Okay, let's take one out of this. So if we have lookup location of these books in a warehouse, that could look in, if you would go straight to solution requirements, it's like you would need a search functionality to find a book. You would need to know where it is in the warehouse because you don't know all the books where they are located in the warehouse anywhere. Those are a number of solution requirements. But imagine, just imagine that you would first deduct the stakeholder requirements, which is sometimes straightforward from a business process step. As a warehouse manager, I need to know the location of the books in our warehouse so that I can retrieve them for shipping orders. You look at the stakeholder story format, which is very easy to use for stakeholder requirements. And if you would go then to solution requirements, take this step in between, it makes more sense, first of all. The stakeholder requirements are solution independent, and you might forget less if you have done this step in between. So if, for example, you go straight this, you might forget solution requirements. Here, you also might forget, but it's less probable. Okay, that was the example. Now, did you remember this one? Remember that each stakeholder requirement is all related to business requirements? It looks very similar, doesn't it? Well, know that those stakeholder requirements are always related to business requirements. Whereas not all stakeholder requirements are related to processes. Not always, but they are related to business requirements. Okay. So, but for the easy format, I use the abstraction of requirements. So to continue the rest of the story, we're almost finished, and I'm keeping my time track. Okay. So traceability and impact analysis. So traceability is clear because you go from this drawing to business events, business services, to processes, to requirements. That's really straightforward. But impact analysis. So for example, If I would change a button of the requirement 5, only this part of the process is impacted. Although, if I would button or screen in requirement 8, 2 processes are impacted, but still it's limited. Although, if I would change here a business services, it will have a huge impact. So if you have this traceability, impact analysis will become much easier. Now so look at this drawing. Look very well at this drawing. I'm going to ask you how many different types of scope you see at this drawing. How many types of scope do you see at this drawing? This is the next poll. So you can choose 2, 3, 4, or 5. So it's more than 1. So, no, it's not this poll. It's the last poll. Sorry, you have to.
It's the last question in the poll, so you can just scroll down to the third question.
Oh, that's the thing. Okay. So you scroll down. So you made 1 poll, or well, I'm confused. Anyway, so how many types of scope can we find in the overview that I mentioned earlier? Come on, don't be shy. Don't be shy. I'm going to close for me because I also have this window in front of me. So Olga, you can look at it. Do you get some replies?
I have a question that people can't see the poll, but I relaunched it, so you should. Does anyone else experience the same? Poll is gone? That's strange.
Okay. Put it in the chat. Type in 2, 3, 4, or 5. Put it in the chat. Go ahead. Don't be shy. Oh, the poll is there. The poll is there. You have to scroll downwards. There's quite some delay on the Zoom, isn't it, today?
Yeah, it's a bit.
Okay.
All right, I have one answer.
Okay, 2. We'll probably go over time for a few minutes, but we also started 10 minutes later, so that's. I think that should be okay. And for those who arrived later, this is recorded and will be put on the YouTube channel of the Belarus chapter. Probably somewhere in the course of next week, I guess.
I think so.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and by the way, so okay, we have 2 people, and they all said it was number 3. Okay, let's. Oh, you have more?
No, I have the same answer.
Okay. So it was 3. So everyone said 3. Okay, let's have a look. So first of all, this was the business scope. We mentioned that when we're talking about the business context. The second one is there, solution scope. It's already there, but hey, let's. So if we would implement all those requirements on the right-hand side, we would have implemented the full solution. But because of time, money, budget, sometimes we choose not to, or do it phased. So the project or the product scope. So that's the third one. And the thing is, if we decide not to do 3 and 4, we know that this process is not fully solved. It's good to know to prioritize your releases, for example, or your versions. So you might want to choose, like, let's first start 1 process at a time, and then start with process 2 or process 3. It's a choice, but make your choice consciously. So it was 3. And then remember the customer journey, customer experience. Like, if you're only interested in that, but you don't know anything about the rest, the holistic view on the whole process, Yeah, I know quite a lot of people that only want to do that, and they start making promises in the customer experience exercise that can't be kept. You need to have a holistic view on the whole stuff. So, conclusion: the BACCM, the different requirement categories, and the overview, and some reference material, the BABA guide, the BA standard, mastering the requirements process, on the Volere, because I do use quite stuff on the Volere. And here you can contact me, or so the first one is my LinkedIn thing, or this is the email. So I'm going to ask you, are there any questions? Because it has been very silent.
No, we do not have still any questions, so I'm waiting to have some now.
Yeah.
And
while we are waiting for questions, there will be a video, an interview, because Olga, remember we had an interview on business analysis in general and volunteering, remember? But there will be an interview released tomorrow morning on holistic business analysis, which is taken by Karolina Smitrovic. She invited me for an interview, and it will be released tomorrow morning. So keep an eye on that, because I will tell more on holistic business analysis, why it's necessary, things that you haven't seen today, but probably you will see also a few things that I have mentioned today, of course. Okay, I think we can stop sharing unless someone says like, hey, this one slide, please show it again. But I don't see anything appearing in the chat.
no questions yet.
Okay. I can't imagine that the delay is so bad that someone typed his question or her question 5 minutes ago. So if not, I'm going to stop sharing. Well, a few people arrived a bit late.
Yeah.
Okay, Valeria, nice to know. Robert, you arrived a bit late. Or did you were confused with the time zoning?
Stefan, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I'm driving, by the way. That's why I'm off camera, because I don't want to be distracting.
Okay.
Am I an hour late?
Yeah, we're finishing. It started an hour ago.
Oh, no.
Time zone. But the good news is it will be recorded, and it will arrive in the course of next week, or maybe the week after, on the YouTube channel of the Belarus chapter.
Yes.
And the slides, I will put the slides in the chat, but we will put it also through the YouTube, the channel, the video. It will have some text. It will contain also the link of, but I'm going to put the thing, oh, where's the chat? Where's the chat?
Well, I'm very sad I missed it live, but I hope it went great, and congratulations, and I look forward to the recording.
Okay. Well, it's a pity you weren't able to make it in time.
Just
I
thought I was
think,
good at math, and I'm not good at math.
yeah. I encourage you to use my time buddy. Time buddy. It even has an app.
Yeah.
So I'm going to upload it in the chat.
Okay.
And
so, we have thank you messages.
Yeah. Okay, Stephanie, good to have you. So okay, so those who want to download it now and don't have to wait until it appears on the YouTube channel, go ahead. We can stop recording, I guess.
I think so. Let me